Hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. Good evening. Okay.
We're good. All right. A little bit of how we got here,
Sure.
if you don't mind.
Yeah.
We have a lot of people here.
Okay.
So every year we negotiate compensation, and this year we started in the fall at some point. And I'm going to pass things for, like, you, if you don't want to distribute to your team because they know the numbers, that's fine, but these are things that have already been passed. So on the 19th of October, the district passed over what was the best and final offer. Okay, so that is, for the numbers for everybody, is 1260 for highly effective, 945 for effective, and grandfathered 945. New minimum base 48,209, additional cost to the district 62,646. So this was your last offer with the language on the back. So we printed it in case you wanted it, but you have it handy.
And am I allowed to jump in?
Yeah, go ahead.
Are we going to do this together?
Yeah, we can.
So again, when we kind of did this in the hearing, I mean, yes, am I on? Am I not on?
There you
Hello.
go.
Okay, I need to speak louder. That yes, the districts pulling in from their additional funds was 646. But the total package for paper performance was at $3.2 million. So, I mean, again, I think there's just even from questions I've gotten, there's been some confusion about, well, you're only giving $62,000 out among the teachers. And I wanted to make sure that that was clear, that there was 3.275 added into the paper performance. And yes, out of our additional coffers, it was $62,000 on top of that.
Okay, where did that other 3-point-something million come from?
It's a categorical from the state for the teacher salary increase.
So you have to spend it on the salary.
Correct.
Right, okay.
Yes.
So the line here that you guys made the spreadsheet, so it says additional cost to the district. I'm just
Yes.
reading that.
Yes.
Additional cost to the district, 62,000 and change. This, I believe, was just a typo, 33,500, right?
Correct. So this was the number of associate teachers times the $500 that we were going to give them, times FRS and Social Security. That was a little calculation I did to get to the 39.
Right, but it's actually 35.5 was the offer, not 33.5.
Correct. The 33.5 is the 67 associate teachers times $500.
It's
That's
the
what
net
that,
increase.
it's the cost.
Right, we looked at the math and
Okay.
it came out over here correctly,
Okay.
but the starting salary of an associate teacher is not 33.5.
Right.
Okay. All right, so then that was the last time we met before going to a vote.
Yes.
Then we did not ratify.
Correct.
We came back to the table. We reverted to our last proposal. That on December 8th was when that meeting happened.
Correct.
And that was performance highly effective, 2029, effective 1522, grandfathered 1522.
Yes.
New minimum base of 48,642 as opposed to, so I guess you don't want these or need these, as opposed to 48,209. So that was our offer on December 8th. And then on the 10th, we wound up at impasse. Was it the 10th? It was 2 days later, I believe. So then we scheduled, for everybody out there, what happened after that is we scheduled we selected our magistrate during using the PERC process and planned for an impasse hearing. That impasse hearing was what, probably the last thing that you heard about out there, was on March 22nd. And at the end of that meeting, the magistrate said to both of us, it was just shortly after 5 o'clock, he gave out the timeline of waiting for the transcript and then the briefs and then his 15 days to make a recommendation, 20 days for either side to reject the recommendation. So that's quite the timeline. And he said, he reminded us that during that time, he would encourage us to use what we learned in the impasse hearing and continue to negotiate, that we have that ability. So we as a team met shortly after the impasse hearing, and we thought to ourselves, we are called the bargaining team. Do we have room here to bargain? And we decided that we could put our best foot forward and come up with a new proposal. And we offered to come to another session with you. So we're kind of in the middle of all of the impasse stuff for everyone out there. We're in the brief time right now. We are writing briefs for the magistrate. And then sometime in May, the magistrate's recommendation will come.
Yes.
Right? So that's what we're in that time there where we're going to take his suggestion and try to continue negotiating.
Correct.
And maybe it's successful.
And so the other piece is that if we are able to come to an agreement and are able to get that ratified, then impasse ends.
Right.
And
Right.
we're done.
No briefs are due.
No briefs
Right.
are due.
Right.
No more briefs.
Right.
Yes.
So that's where we're at in the process. And so what we did was we met as a team and we said, okay, what's the main thing that the district needs to see from us, right?
Okay.
And that is a recognition of recurring and non-recurring, right? So where could we pull from? So here's what we came up with. I will tell you ahead of time, we're going to hold firm on the placement schedule because we believe it's central to our future together, really. The placement schedule benefits the employer as much as labor. Okay? There's no way around that because you can recruit. But it is essential to our future collectively, we believe. And so we are going to stick to that, although we will take a portion of what we were last proposing in performance pay and move it into a non-recurring payment. That adds up to $845,000. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the whole thing. Okay, so here is, I didn't pull out my number of copies out of practice here. And the date of this proposal, the header is on the second page.
Gotcha.
So this would be SJEA number 5. Right. SJEA number 5, yeah. One more. Okay, so there's 2 pages to this. One is the verbiage and one is the formula sheet. So we start with the formula sheet. We were at 2029 for highly effective. What we're proposing is 1712 with a one-time $300 payment. And we think that we pointed out many ways that a non-recurring payment can be made. So we made many of those suggestions at impasse. And so if we're going to make those suggestions, then we're going to back that up with some action here. The number of employees on the minimum changed from your second offer to third. So I don't know if it's changed again, but so we're going with the number of 460. That's new employees on the minimum. Again, if it's 475 by now,
Sure.
my apologies. I don't have the
Sure.
latest. So that cost to the schedule there is noted at 281. So the new minimum base would be 48,463. And the additional cost of the district line is 1.25 million. It was 2.15. That's not the whole story though, because I gave you the precursor. Okay, so on the next page, you'll find the verbiage of that proposal with the numbers updated. We're willing to meet in the middle on associate teacher. I don't want to discount that. It is technically the third issue at impasse. We're willing to meet in the middle. We were at 1,000 raise. You were at 500, 750 to us. It's not the exact percentage, but considering what an associate teacher makes to a lead teacher, 750 is we feel a more appropriate. But we're willing to meet in the middle on that for the 67 associate teachers that we have. And worth noting for any associate teachers out there, they are eligible for performance pay. So we're
Correct.
talking about, we are only talking about new associate teachers.
Correct.
Let's see. Oh, and here's where you'll find the $300 one-time payment. We think that if we're being hopeful that we can come to an agreement, and we put June 1st in there, but that is obviously a discussion of logistics. Okay, so that's not
So what's the cost of the $300?
$845. That's the $845. I have a summary. You don't have to write it down.
Okay.
Right.
$845,000.
That's your 2816 by 300, right?
2816 times 300. Right. Yep. Okay. So because the starting teacher pay would change, remember we got to 47.5 last year. We proposed last 48,642, and now we're proposing 48,463. We had to update the placement schedule. Okay, so again, the rest of it's still the same. Two, three, four, five. I'm gonna go for you. So you'll see the first 4 levels, 0 through 3, would now reflect that change.
I'm just using my calculator. I'm not.
Sure.
Just want people to know that I'm not. Okay, go ahead, Justin. I'm listening.
Okay, so then we would imagine that your next question is, well, what is that new cost of the
Right.
placement schedule?
Mhm.
And I remember this coming up, so we'll have to rely on your numbers. We wouldn't have a way of knowing if anyone was, because we're proposing a level 24, 25, 26, and 27.
Mhm.
So we don't know how many people were hired this year that would be at that level,
Right.
that were hired at level 23, if that makes sense. So
Okay.
we wouldn't have a way of costing that out,
Right.
but we could cost out based on the last numbers that you gave us.
Mhm.
We could cost this out to 683,692. Okay, so here is that.
Okay.
Now, if you go back to I'll give you a second to pass those out to whoever needs it. I didn't make
No,
14 of
that's
those
fine.
because
That's
that's
all right.
not
We're good.
that's a working document. That's
Right.
not a proposal.
We're good.
So, okay, so now we have to consider that on the colored sheet, the colorful sheet there, we have an additional cost to the schedule of 281,000 already being calculated, right?
Mhm.
So we can't account for that twice.
Right.
So we need to back that out somewhere.
So that number then becomes the 683, 692. Because the 460 should be in this first group of people
Right.
that are under. So what I would recommend, and we'll check when we caucus, is that this 281 gets replaced by your 683, 692.
Right.
Because that's the total cost of the change to the salary schedule.
Right, as long as we don't double it, as long as we don't account for
Correct.
281 times 2.
Correct.
So in my
Right.
summary, you'll see 281 backed out of that total number.
Yes.
Even though we could actually reduce this to an estimate at some point, because I see the total there, 334, and you have 460.
Mhm.
So again, that has changed since the last time we met,
Correct.
clearly. Okay. Now, let's summarize this. Again, I didn't print 12. If you could share those. All right. So on the colorful sheet, we'll call it the formula sheet, I guess. It accounts for performance pay, a new minimum base, and associate teacher.
Mhm.
It's all on the same sheet, and that equals 1.257 million. Okay. One-time payment, like you said, 2816 times 300 is $844,800. So the placement schedule, and maybe you see the math differently, but you take the total cost of the placement schedule change and you back out what's already being accounted for on the formula sheet for levels 0 to 3, and we have 402,000. Do you need to clarify that, or do you need to clarify that?
No,
It's making sense?
it is. The total cost is actually 683. It's the whole cost.
Okay, so let me understand then.
Okay.
Okay, so if it's being calculated,
Because the first number, and actually we'll re-add and make sure that we match this schedule so that we are together. But let's say we used your 334 instead of my
Right.
460.
right,
The 334 times the 963 would end up in this yellow, right? It would end up on this yellow
Right.
box, okay?
right,
But this total here includes that 334
yeah, that's
and
my
everybody
point.
else. So this is the total cost to the change of the salary schedule. It's not this less that, this,
I see what you're saying. You're right.
okay.
Okay, you're right. So the summary then would need to be altered. So
Okay.
we still are, we were at a little over 2.9 million and we're still gonna wind up around 2.7. I mean, I know that our big thing is that we're moving as large a chunk as we feel the unit can handle.
Okay.
Let's put it that way. As large a chunk the unit can handle into a non-recurring category.
Right.
Okay, so you have your summary with that caveat that we just worked through.
Okay.
Okay. That is the entirety of our proposal tonight.
So I have some questions,
Go
if
ahead.
that's okay.
Yeah,
So, the biggest concern I think that I have is to the salary schedule, because what we don't have here is what is the effect of putting this salary schedule into play? Because you have some of these steps increasing by $2,500, which is double what pay for performance is.
Mhm.
So if I'm at 23 years and I'm not making 5640, again, we don't want the little leapfrogging that we always
Right.
talk about. So what is that cost on top of everything else? Because
there is
that's
a
big.
possible cost there. I don't
Yeah.
know how big it is. So with that, I guess that we do have language in our proposal. Let's go to the stapled page.
Okay.
That has, nope, it's on the placement schedule. It's on the placement schedule. On the back.
Oh, on the back,
It's on the
yes.
back. So we
Okay.
have language to,
Right.
so that allows the employee to do a salary review form.
Right.
And again,
But-
dates are negotiable, but it seems reasonable that when we come back in August, that they could have a deadline of actually being back at work.
Correct. And I would agree. We never want that to
We do
happen.
not.
We don't ever want somebody coming in to jump over somebody
Right.
who's already here. It's just, we're going to caucus. It may take a little time to just kind of figure out, again, all right, let me look at kind of everybody that's in the district, who's at this level, and then how much this will cost. Because again, you're talking about, $2,500, $2,250, $2,000, again, which is more than the pay
Right.
for performance itself. If it was under the pay for performance, then you would know that nobody would jump over somebody else.
Right. So exactly correct. So any increase to the salary schedule we'd have to use the grandfather / effective number to be
Right.
sure, even though we have a lot of highly effective, we'd have to use the 1284 number.
Okay.
So anything over 1284 would have to be accounted for as a possibility of a leapfrog.
Mhm.
Because if they've been here for a long time, they're not going to get leapfrogged. This would be like the Morgan scenario
Well,
from last year.
yes,
If you
that's
were
what we
hired
wanna-
with this many years of experience in this window.
Right.
So I don't know how many people that is, but again, out of 3,000, yeah, it could be. It could be a few dozen.
Be an impact. Okay. All right.
You have anything else?
Do you have
Just-
any questions?
Just a quick question. So this really doesn't, because one of the big issues we've heard for the last 2 years is that and you even said it on your tape, that, that, the veteran teachers are, lack of better, is getting the short end of the stick, right? Because we went from 39,000 to 45,535 to 47,000.
There's an experience penalty, yeah.
It's
That's the way I
experience
word it,
penalty,
yeah.
let's use that. And so this doesn't make any attempt to correct that, correct?
It makes
I just want to make sure I
well,
understand.
no, actually, no, I would disagree with that.
Well, no, it's question.
Yeah.
How does it?
Well, to Kathy's point, higher up in the placement schedule, it's going to help within the constraints of the law. It addresses where we can, because we can't do what we did last year.
Correct.
It's
cannot
not legal
do,
anymore.
Recurring, yes, they
So,
got us.
so with the exception
us.
of a supplement that's based on years of service, which wouldn't pass the smell test either.
Right.
So within the constraints that we can, we feel like it does address it by spreading out the placement schedule. And that's why I talk about the importance of the future of this district. The placement schedule is important in that way,
Right.
to decompress within the constraints of the law.
Anything else, Mr. DeGutis?
No.
Any questions?
Right. I can do that in the caucus.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No?
Do you want to start with 30 minutes or?
Yes, let's start with 30, and then I will text you. You have the room in the back if you need it. And yeah, let's start with 30 and see what we can do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Testing. Still on?
Cut you off in 1 second.
All right, is your microphone
I'm
on?
on, yes.
Okay, can you hear me?
If you're
Okay.
close to that one.
All right. So first off, we just want to thank you for reviewing everything and coming back with another compensation packet. We truly, truly appreciate that. So we did go in, we caucused, we used your spreadsheet, and I shouldn't say your spreadsheet or my spreadsheet. This is actually the negotiated formula that
Right.
we agreed to many, many years ago. So, so we went in and played with what you had given us, and some concerns, but I am hopeful that we can kind of move into an area where we can both agree and find a collaborative solution. So I will tell you that the overall package is bigger than we're financially comfortable with, but that doesn't mean that we are not going to counter, because we are going to counter tonight. We did some spot checking on the salary schedule that goes up to 27 steps. To agree to that, that would take time, because even in just spot checking, like we have a teacher at 22 years who makes 52,051. They would go to 53,335, but we'd have to do another $2,000 to get them to what is on the placement schedule, so there's no leapfrogging. So again, at $2,000, how many people is that? And so what is the actual value of that? We know that the salary schedule has been a focus of ours for the past couple of years, not only because of the legislation's requirements, but because for recruitment purposes, we understand the importance. But what we have heard over and over again is that our experienced teachers that have been here with the district feel the experience penalty. I think those were the words that you used. And so we came up with something different within our financial abilities that switches the focus to them. And so I'm going to share that with you. But we want to make sure that we commit to you to know that as we go forward, that we know this, we can't do it all, but we know that the salary schedule has to become more competitive, but we also need to focus on our current teachers. And so again, we know that we have a compensation committee or supplement committee, but that probably needs to be expanded so that we can work together on, so that we both, when we talk numbers, that we're both speaking the same language and that we're both moving in the same direction. So that is just something I want to throw out there for you all to consider, so that we can start working together. I don't think any of us want to end up where we ended up this year. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and pass across what we have come up with. I have one from Michelle, right? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
That's for Michelle.
Yep.
And then
I'm just
add
gonna
that,
wait. Yep.
and she's good.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. So we're just going to go ahead. Let's go ahead and look at the formula. And so in the formula, we did decide that we would put all except for $32,000 of the teacher. Oh, you want to hold on a second? I'm sorry.
Those two, that's Michelle.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
We're good.
Okay.
Where am I on the,
So go to our graph. So Jennifer, if you'll put our, this one up.
It's gonna take her.
Oh. I could have brought my computer in here.
Oh, we got it?
It's kind of nice to have somebody else drive without
Yeah,
them.
yeah.
So I'm going to talk,
It's fine.
and then
Okay.
we'll let Jennifer put that up. Okay. So we decided to put all $3.5 million into the pay for performance schedule. And so that brings highly effective up to 1346, effective up to 1010, and grandfathered up to 1010. That brings the new minimum base salary to $48,258. Okay. So before we actually talk about the salary schedule, because I said I want the focus to be on our teachers who have been here with us. If you look at the language, we are adding in a one-time retention bonus. And you're going to say, Kathy, we're not sure that meets the level of the statute. We believe it does because we're not calling it longevity. It's not based upon longevity. It isn't a longevity bonus. It is a retention bonus. And so I'm going to read how this works. I am going to tell you this is based upon 13 years with the St. Johns County School District with no break in service and a commitment, because it's retention, to work until May 26th. So it's a one-time bonus of $750 to anybody who's hired. So that would be in addition to pay for performance. So pay for performance for a grandfathered would be $1,010, and then they would get, if they were here for 13 years, $750 bonus. If you're pay for performance, you would get $1,010 or $1,346, and then you would get a retention bonus of $750. So it's instructional personnel whose hire date into a regularly established position with the St. Johns County School District was on or prior to June 30th, 2009, have been continuously employed, no break in service, in a regularly established position with the St. Johns County School District, received a 21-22 final summative evaluation of effective or highly effective. So again, this can't be your first year teaching, meaning that you were a para or something else, and this is your first year. And you need to complete this school year and remain active through May 26th of 2023, and I believe that is the last day of the school year. Now you're going to say, Kathy, where did you guys come up with 13 years? And I'm going to tell you that there's no math. It was that we all discussed, and it was, hey, we think it's 15 years. Hey, we think it's 10 years. So we just took something right in the middle and picked 13 years of experience. So that was selected. So subject for you to kind of discuss. I'm going to keep going with the placement
I
schedule.
have
You
questions,
question?
but I can
Sure.
wait.
Okay.
I'll ask now.
Okay. So for the placement schedule, I truly did the same thing that we've done in the past. I held the integrity of the placement schedule in the sense that I didn't collapse. When we went to 48,258, I didn't collapse it all the way to step 10. As you can see in the past, we had the first 3 levels the same, and then we had 4, 5, 6 the same, 7, 8, 9 the same, and we had 10 the same. I did actually change, or we actually did change 10 and 11, and so there is a reason for that, and that is kind of during our research of kind of our comparator, or our districts that are within surrounding our area. We felt like that was more competitive at that level with Duval and Clay. It's not exactly where they're at, but it's maybe $100 or $200 difference between there. So we felt like at least that was a small increase where we could add to.
Okay. You ready for questions?
I am.
All right, let's start with the last thing, placement schedule. The number on step, are those updated? Number on step?
No, but we're willing to,
Okay,
we're willing to use these numbers, because I could pull it today and it's gonna be different and tomorrow it'll be different, and
okay,
so we're just gonna stay status quo with what we're using.
okay. I don't see a leapfrog,
No, because I
Issue,
kept, there
right.
wouldn't be a leapfrog issue because I kept it under
right?
whatever pay for performance would be.
Okay, so the one-time retention bonus,
Yes.
750. How many people? approximately?
552.
And the cost of that?
420,000. That is actually on your sheets. So if you look at your sheets, it
I got
says
it.
420,000. So the total additional that the district is putting in is $776,411.50.
All right, and so I see anyway, I haven't talked to the team yet, but I see an area of agreement in principle, at least, of addressing the placement schedule. Not, your position would be not all at once. Did I hear that correctly?
Because our focus was based upon the additional money that we were going to put in. We wanted that focus to be on the experienced teachers of the district.
Yeah, and you answered my question about why 13 years. Do you feel, okay, so you feel that this would meet the letter of the law because we're not calling it a longevity supplement,
Correct?
and it's a one-time, not a supplement. And so what if we added a 8 to 12 years at 500? Do you think that would meet the letter of the law?
I think retention, as long as we define it appropriately, I mean, again, we purposely put in there words like work until the end of the school year, because that's retention. It's not longevity. We did not put the word longevity. So again, you could certainly play with that and then see where that gets you.
And,
Yeah,
and it was 8 to 12, and how much?
I just threw out 8 to 12, $500.
Okay.
Because you're at
That's what I wrote.
750, I'm
Yeah,
saying,
no, that's what I wrote down. I just
why
want to
don't let's
verify.
hear it?
Mhm.
You know,
I'm with you.
because if that meets the letter of the law, that would too,
So
I think.
yes, and so again, I mean, here's where our conundrum is. Okay, let's just be honest and have an honest conversation. We have heard those teachers that have been with this district for a very long time state, and it is mostly the grandfathered, I'm gonna be honest, it's mostly the grandfathered, but they saw people get big increases and they didn't get it. And you and I agree with that, I know.
And of course,
So when you spread that money, again, then everybody gets less. And we were trying to kind of fix some of the harm that was done by some of the legislature. And then Tammy, I don't know, I'm sure FBA is keeping their pulse on the changes to the law. I mean, we are very hopeful that they will take the 75%
Right.
and the 150% out so that we can just have the money and do what we need to
Right.
do with it that will solve some of these problems.
The question I have is, can you talk more about the committee? You were mentioning something about doing some type of committee. What were you envisioning that to look like?
So Mike and I were talking and we were envisioning literally not negotiating, okay? But us getting into a room, really understanding the finances of this district in all transparency's sake. I mean, really having a good understanding for both of us. I mean, what is it that you see? What is it that you learn? What is it that we see? What do we make our decisions based upon? What is the plan? Because, we hear our teachers talk and we listen. I mean, I do not want anybody to think we aren't listening. We listen. what is a livable wage? It's subjective, but maybe we together can come up with a plan and a focus. You all have said that. We have said that as we need to come up with a plan of where do we want to get our teachers' salaries. So what is that livable wage? What should it be within the next 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? And then we're going to have some deep, hard conversations, maybe some recommendations to the board, because what do you cut? What can we do without? What can we live with? What can we take off the teachers' plates that maybe isn't compensation connected?
So many, many years ago, probably when I first started, we did have a similar type committee, like a budget committee that sat down. I mean, that was Jim Springfield days and Marty Schapp days. And we sat around and talked about the budget, where it's moving, understanding I mean, is that kind of what you're alluding to?
Yes. Would you be in agreement with that, Mr. Gudis?
Yeah. More with the focus, though, driving it towards what we have on the table for compensation. Because remember, we also had a committee for this.
Oh,
Sorry.
I just talk really loud, so
Yeah.
I know people can hear me.
Yeah. And so, years ago, more recently, however, we had a committee that came up with this. Mary Ann Collins, Maggie Burns,
Don Chapman.
Don Chapman, so on and so forth. Us and Dr. Asplin were on this committee. So it would be that, but with this in mind, that we actually understand everything that comes into here, right? Because what we start at here, we just come in with this.
Well,
And the Finance 101 coming out of the legislature, but there, as you know, there is so much more to that. And it would be good to have a collaborative subcommittee of both groups to say, okay, we've gone through the budget, we've gone through the issues, et cetera, et cetera. So yes, no, absolutely.
I just want to be clear, it's not argumentative. This formula, this expanded formula is due to changes in the law last year. The basic formula was agreed to back then.
Right.
That's in the contract.
Yes.
This is unique to this year and could very well change again,
Absolutely.
depending on the restrictions they put on us. So,
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Right. So I just don't want anybody to think that this was bargained by that committee. The simplified version
Pretty much
was.
everything from that yellow line up, though, was. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, because we didn't have.
Yes. We can pull the 8-year-old one.
I understand,
Yeah.
but that's how we come up with the highly effective and the weights are slightly different.
Agreed.
You have
Yes.
the weights are different.
Just this year, though,
Right.
because of legislation.
Right. Okay. Yeah, we're both right.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we got to talk.
Okay. All right.
Say 30 minutes.
Okay.
I'll check in with you.
Text us.
Thanks.
Audio off.
Well, we debated for what, 45 minutes, and we had discussed a lot, obviously, heading into tonight, and where we were willing to go, and a couple things right off the top. It's good that we wound up here, right? It's a good thing. We knew that it might work out, it might not. It was a good thing to take the time and come together and do the work. We do appreciate the attempt of the 750. I will tell you how we see that, though. With that break-in service stipulation, it's more like addressing loyalty than experience. That's one perspective, and that's how we see it. The additional cost of the district at 776 obviously shows some movement, and 420 of that would be in that 750. So a counter from us, we debated even down to dollars. Let's say we moved $100 from the recurring to the non-recurring. Ultimately, our counter would be in the recurring level that we don't think that you're comfortable with. And so we don't see a reason to do that. We knew that this was a possibility. So we're going to see what the magistrate says and let the process play out.
Okay, so we absolutely respect your decision. We did want to come, and again, just like you, were hopeful that we could settle this because as you know, it will be June or July before we can get anybody paid anything, no matter what that ends up being. And so we had hoped that maybe we could come to some solution today so that we could get some money in people's hands, but we get it. If I can just, before we just end, we just wanted to make sure that there, because we had some questions from our own team, that we want to make sure that our employees and your membership understand that the placement schedule is the placement schedule. That is just where somebody starts. It's not your pay raise.
I say it a lot.
And so, well, we had questions from our own team about that. And so I know it gets confusing. So I just want to make sure for anybody that's listening or anybody that's out there, when we put the placement schedule up there and you look at it and you look at those levels that don't change, that's not the increase to somebody who's brand new. That is where they start. And then if you get an evaluation in that school year, then the following year you get the pay for performance or the bonus or whatever occurs. But we know that possibly there was, you nodded your head, some confusion on your end. And so that's what we said. I said, oh my gosh, is that what you understood? Because I almost went and knocked on your door, and because I was concerned. We want to make sure that people understand
I
that.
say it a lot. That,
We
why we're so
actually explained it here too.
Okay,
why we're so
thank you.
committed to it, I'll be honest with you, is because you kind of have to do one and the other. You know, you can't put money on the placement schedule and offer the existing employees nothing. You know what I mean? You have to sort of balance that scale a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but the reason that we're very committed to it is because it addresses some future issues. And that goes into comps against other counties, and that's impasse stuff. And we're past that now. So there's no reason to rehash it.
Right.
So that's why we're committed to that placement schedule. But ultimately, you know, we appreciate the attempt at the one-time bonus, but we're not going to get into a situation where it doesn't ratify. So
Okay.
all right.
Anything?
Nope.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
Yeah. It was
Thank
worth
you.
a shot
It
to
was.
come here
Absolutely,
and hear each other.
Absolutely.
And
Yes. All right.
thank you. So we're just done.
So
I can speak to them and them at the same time. Okay. All right. Thanks. Hey, everybody. So before we go, I haven't added the man hours, work hours, the hours that have gone into this for the team, and let's not discount the heavy lift that is our organization, right? Because you all have been out there with signs, you've been emailing, it's working. It's working. It's huge that you're doing that. And I heard start clapping. You should clap. I really believe that. But it's really inspiring to us. But the team has put in a ton of hours, and anybody who's seen the impasse presentation knows how much went into that, right? I haven't added it up. I don't know if I want to. It's just a lot. So we did not think that this offer was worth countering. At the end of the day, the recurring dollars commitment from them is just not enough. And we think that you're pretty representative of the population out there and what's going on online as well. You know, it's not scientific data gathering, but we feel like we're at the point where we have our finger on the pulse. And so at the end of the day, there was no counter here that would be productive. And that's what we're here to do, is to be productive. And so you might have seen some amicability between the two sides at this point. And that's just because, you know, we just went through a boxing match, you know, and now it's a little bit of respect for your other side. And so I think they showed some respect by showing up. We did the same. At the end of the day, it's about results, and let's see what the magistrate says, because if they have to publicly reject the magistrate's recommendation, that goes a long way for our organization and for our movement, right? We have to keep moving. We are in the bottom half in the state in every metric, and we do not belong there. We do not belong there, okay? So are we gonna get paid like Sarasota? No, that's certainly not gonna happen overnight, but we have got to move the needle. We've got to move the needle. And $750 bonuses to only 1/6 of the people is not gonna move the needle. And countering with $750 for everybody is not much different than our last dish effort before ratification failed. So at the end of the day, we just felt it wasn't worth it. So am I missing any of the high points, Morgan, Jesse? Yeah, some numbers of the other counties.
Let me take it.
You probably got it right here.
So what I did here was, wow, I'm loud though. All right. So what I did is I looked at all of the raises that are there. I'll hold it. You got it. I got it. We're good. Okay, thank you. I looked at all the raises everybody got for every county, right? And so we were second to the bottom. The only county that had done less well than us, what was the other county that was less well than us? Only one other county is less than us, right? By a couple of bucks. This raise they offered would have left us in the exact same spot. We wouldn't have beat anyone else. We would still been second from the bottom for a raise. That's important to know. The average raise that we're getting in all the comparable counties is about $2,500. This raise was $1,300, roughly 50% less than that. Okay, you are better than average teachers. You deserve at the very least an average raise.
And the ones that did bonuses to accommodate for lower raises, those bonuses were 1,000, 15, up to 10,000.
Right.
In St. Lucie County. That took a referendum. That took a ballot initiative. But the point is the 750 doesn't even compare either. And
Right.
then of course it's restricted to 20% of our population. So Jesse's going with two different numbers here, the bonus money and the raise money.
And our neighboring county of Duval, they have a higher raise than us. Sorry. So the online people can hear. Our neighboring county of Duval had a higher raise than us, and they gave a $1,500 bonus to all employees, whether they were new or had been working in the district. So again, that just gives you some comparison of what the district's trying to offer us.
All right. I think we've covered it all, and I think hopefully we've represented you well, and we're certainly thank you. It is really not easy. You can see that, and even when it's amicable like it was tonight, it's not easy, and it's not always like that. Trust me.
If teachers leave the district this year, are they going to get that retro
That's not a question for me, actually. It's an HR
No,
question.
our two people that could answer it.
Yeah, I can get you an answer to that. I really don't know. Yeah, I really don't know.
Yeah, that's what happened last year.
I
is
believe
in
so
Seattle-
because it is retro, and
Yeah.
you could go after them even if it's a small claims amount.
Right.
That's the way I understand it. But I'm not the president. That's a president question.
So, but to be clear, the special magistrate is making his decision in May. It's just that it's going to take the district a while to get their finances ready to get us our checks. Okay.
Yeah, we're at the point where her point was taken. We were hoping to get people money a little earlier. It would have been like a month earlier. I mean, we're not talking about a lot. You've all put in the work and effort, and we've taken our stand, and that's what's important. Well,
It's imposed.
it's imposed.
We don't have the option to turn it down.
It won't go to ratification. No, it goes to the neutral board, the unbiased neutral board.
Where we have a hearing in front of the school board members, we present our case, the district presents their case, the school board members say yay or nay. On the spot. They make a ruling on the spot. Based on whatever they hear.
They know the ruling going into it. I mean, we've been here before.
So then that's what you're asking is then the school board imposes that salary on us and we don't ratify it at all. It's the salary. Yes.
No, we do not.
Correct.
No ratification.
No voting. There'll be no ratification at this point.
If they reject, and which was what they would do. If we settled tonight on something, that would have to go out for ratification. But if they reject it, which is what they will, if it's in our favor, and if it's not in our favor, we'll reject. There's no ratification.
We have to ratify, sir.
Even if we reject. Okay, so I take it back. Again, that's what FEA is for. Okay. Oh, we can.
We will do a mail ballot.
Yeah, we'll do what we have to do. Sorry, so I thought I was saying the right thing, but this is what we have FEA for because they take care of stuff like that. But go ahead. Yeah, at the end of the day, we know the effect, but we can go through the process. Yeah. Yeah.
This would be the second time in 10 years, should they do what we predict they are going to do, that the magistrate was decided in favor of the union, and they went along, they disagreed with the magistrate and went.
Magistrate split last time, but go ahead.
But that would be the second time, and within 10 years, that needs to be.
We will. And that's,
You don't win this year. You win next year. That's
assuming please remember, that's assuming the magistrate rules in our favor. We believe they will.
last time he was split. There were 4 issues. One of them was compensation, and it did not rule in our favor on that. So, but on the other 3, they did. And then one, they took the recommendation, which was to find equity in advanced supplements. And then the other 2 issues, they rejected outright. So anyway, do we do a good job of explaining, hopefully?
No, even if you quit, you would get paid.
Yes.
Yeah.
You earn the money, they have to pay.
Because it was for this school year. So you work the entire school year, you get the raise.
Okay, Kelly, do one more question.
There were some questions on social media.
Yeah.
About like the premium holiday and all those other things BTA, and people want to know if that's going to still happen. So can you address that?
Yes. The answer is?
We still have to ratify. So if it actually, I don't know the answer to that, because if you decide not to ratify it, it gets imposed. So it has to go to ratification, it gets imposed. After the ruling from the board, the impartial board, it ratifies. If it gets voted down, the district imposes whatever they want to impose. They want to give you the substitute pay, they can do that. They want to give the insurance holiday, premium holiday, they give that.
They will.
And I believe they will. Yes.
That they will, because it's.
Which saves them a lot of money, yeah.
Saves them a lot of
Yeah.
money, so it pays for
Yeah.
them to give you that.
Yeah.
That I'm pretty
Yeah. That's typically what happens is they impose their last offer, yeah. So their last offer includes those things.
A suggestion, Michelle, can you find out many TDEs we can get, Ellie? And can she do a tour of schools?
Oh, explore school.
A tour of schools. All right, we're going to sign off. We're going to sign off for this. All right, thanks, everybody.